Welcome, Miracles Tribe members and members of our action community on Facebook. I'm Teresa McGallicher, and I'm joined today by my partner, Carly Hardy, and our special guest, Peter Adrian. But
Hello, everyone.
UK, and Carly will introduce him.
Thank you, Teresa, and thank you, Peter, for being with us.
My pleasure.
Peter Adrian lives in the UK. I'll tell you just a little bit about Peter, and then you can pick up where I leave off, okay, Peter?
Sure, sounds good.
And fill in the rest. Yeah. So Peter, like many of us, spent many years as a self-improvement junkie and a seeker through various teachings, positive psychology, mindfulness, Abraham Hicks, 3 Principles, A Course in Miracles, non-duality, and he actually experienced his first awakening in 2019. It was an experience that catalyzed a tremendous life-changing shift that transformed the quality of all aspects of his life. He knew at once that even though our problems seem to be external, in relationships, work-life balance, and the body, they all stem fundamentally from this faulty foundation which the awakening experience shifted. Wow, that's a great beginning. We'll love to hear more. And he does have a website. So at the end, Teresa will come on and we can direct everyone to that. In the meantime, take it away, Peter.
Great. Well, it's great to be here, and thank you for having me. I always appreciate a chance to share in any way possible. So prior to this aforementioned experience that Carly just spoke of, I was pretty much, actually, Teresa, before this call, Teresa asked me, if there was any kind of struggles I was facing before getting into this stuff. And, to show kind of like a before and after type of situation. And I just thought, everything. Like I was literally struggling with everything. I was struggling, insecurity with my career, with finances, the need to be more and more and more successful in relationships. There was like jealousy and like, insecurity and the fear of loneliness, everything. It was like everything. And there was I suppose you could say it's like when you've tried to make your life better through all these different avenues, maybe like, I don't know, finding a better partner or getting a better job or all these things. And then, this is my story, but I think it's reflected in a lot of people. So you get to this point where you realize nothing actually changes at all. Like I still felt the same inside. Despite everything that changed on the outside, inwardly, I still felt this like feeling of something's not quite right. Something's missing. I basically don't feel happy in life, with the exception of like, a few moments here and there. And that kind of catalyzed this desire to explore spirituality. And that was like a process of a few years. I remember going in a bookstore once, and I saw A Course in Miracles, and there was something strange that happened, where it stood out in a very interesting way. It was like it wasn't like an experience of, some voice telling me you need to go buy this book, but I was drawn to it, and I didn't know anything about it. It was just kind of like, I'm interested in this direction, so I'm just gonna reach for it. And I reached for it and I opened it. And what I read was the most nonsensical, like it might as well have been a physics textbook, right? It's just like, I'm like, what is this saying? There's all these, it sounds like heavily intellectual, but also it doesn't really make any sense. And it's like, this is really cool. I think I'll get it. So I checked it out, and I read some of it. I went through the lessons and stuff like that, and it started to peel back these layers of basically assumptions that I hadn't realized were assumptions. And it went like deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper until this moment where it was almost like waking up from a dream, where I kind of saw that for my whole life I was living in an experience of thought and I hadn't even realized it, which which like words can't capture this. I just want to make that really clear. Like if someone came up to me before this and said that to me, I would have been like, that's okay, sure. Like sounds like mindfulness, sounds like, maybe positive psychology, which was stuff I was doing in the past. But it was so different because it was such a fundamental it was at such a deep level that the whole world, my whole experience, like my mind, it almost like it was upside down my whole life and then it flipped right side up. Like it's very difficult to describe. But since that moment, everything's just been this experience of grace. Like, and I wasn't born Christian or anything, so the word grace, if I can just describe what that means, it's like there's a living wisdom, a living energy, and it's like expressing itself. It's always just expressing itself, and it's life. Like life is happening, and allowing that energy to move through you, to like move you to which one might experience as curiosity or something. Like that's how I experienced it, but it's everything. This living wisdom made life this experience of effortless, how do I even explain it? I think of this always comes to mind when it's like you have a bucket of paint. Look at this. This is my girlfriend, she's doing art. So I have a bucket of paint of all these different colors, and you pour it on top of a mountain and you just watch it. It's like you just watch it and it's just going down. It's just doing its thing effortlessly, and all the colors are dancing around and everything is just happening. But there's no effort, there's no conflict. It's like total harmony. And I never would have thought, it never would have occurred to me that it's possible for a human being to live life in that state of mind. I didn't even understand that I could live in another state of mind besides what I was living in my whole life. But when but again, I think this is universal. When I experienced this shift, it was like waking up out of a dream. I mean, that's the closest way I can describe it. But at the same time that happened, I also realized that everyone can have this experience. I'm not like, some people look at me and they're like, oh, you got lucky, you won the spiritual lottery. I don't think that's true at all. We all have this capacity within us, this like living energy, this access to a state of mind. Let's put it that way. We all have access to a state of mind where everything in life, all of our problems can have this graceful unfolding, of which we just allow it to unfold in the way that it's going to unfold. And this is where the course comes in. It's like, in order for me, so my experience was like, I had to see the whole structure of the mind. I had to see it. we're always looking at it, right? Whether we realize it or not, but I had to really see it, really see what was going on. And from that seeing, it's like it's like I'm gonna find a better way to explain this. Like the lessons in the course served as like this exposition. It's like an exposing of the whole structure of the mind. And when you see it, you wonder why you ever played into some things. It's like, anyway. So after that experience, and so there's that, and there's a simultaneous, seeing that this is available to everyone. That I was just like, I'm just gonna spend. I was a plumber at the time, actually. I was a plumber, and I was like, I can't spend another day plumbing. Well, I need to tell people about this. Like, that's really cool. So, yeah, and that's. Oh wait, there is one more thing I want to say. Oh yeah, that when I walked into the bookstore originally, and I had that curiosity, that like that interest in something, I didn't see at the time that that was the living wisdom moving through me. And it's only kind of looking back that we start to see like how this movement, how this guidance works through us without us even realizing it, until we get, it's like hindsight is 2020, right? How did I get out of there? Oh yeah, this happened, that happened, and that happened. I was like, oh my God. So yeah, there is, as humans, we have this capacity. We have the capacity to live life in a way that's stress-free and conflict-free and harmonious and all this stuff. And it's not about changing everything in the world. It's all about looking within the self, really. Now, I wish someone had told me that. I wouldn't have listened. Yeah. But I wish someone had really driven that point, years before I started to actually look into this stuff, because it would have saved time. So that's kind of, I feel like I'm in the I'm in the line of work of saving time for people, so they don't have to go through all of the disappointments before they finally come to the last thing that is like, oh, I can just be happy, just through a shift in a level of consciousness. Why didn't, well, somebody should have told me, right? So I'm that. So if you're listening to this right now, and 10 years from now, you think somebody should have told me, well, I'm telling you right now.
Saving you time right now.
Exactly. I think that's all I have to say.
Peter, we feel so blessed to hear your story, and we're so glad that you were able to share it with us today and give hope to people who may still be struggling with problems in their lives. And if you would like to know more about Pete, you can find him at the site, adrian.org, and we'll post a link to that above the video. Thank you, Peter, again for joining us.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to be on here.
Yes, what a wonderful story, and to know that it's available to everyone. We appreciate it.
It's free. It's free.
And it can be yours.
Yeah.